They did not declare war. They did not send diplomats or make threats. The humans simply started taking back what was once theirs without a single word. The first attack happened in the Varney's Belt, a mining system claimed by the Council long ago. 6 automated defense stations protected it. Without warning, all 6 shut down, not destroyed, just turned off, like someone had pulled the plug. Then black ships emerged from the darkness, silent, smooth, and fast. They moved like shadows, landed on the largest asteroid, and planted a small silver tower. Minutes later, they vanished. No shots fired, no bodies, no warning, and the system was lost. The Council tried to respond. They sent a fleet to retake the area, but the fleet never made it. Every ship turned back on its own, confused, lost. Their navigation systems had been rewritten mid-flight. They didn't even realize they had been hacked until it was over. The humans were not just strong, they were playing by different rules. Then came the second attack. And the third, and the fourth, each one was fast, clean, and silent. No explosions, no ground wars. Just systems falling one by one. The galaxy had seen many wars. They had faced the swarm invasions, the Carthian plague, and the Black Sun crisis. But this was something else. The enemy never spoke. They never showed emotion. They never answered. Calls. Only action. Only precision. Soon rumors began to spread. People said human soldiers no longer breathed air. They didn't speak. That their skin was metal and light, and their eyes glowed silver. Some said they could walk through walls. Others claimed they were no longer human at all, but machines with human minds, built in exile, raised in darkness. On the planet Tars 3, a council outpost woke to find a message burned into every screen. You took everything. Now we take what is ours. No one had seen who sent it. Security cameras showed only static, but every system on the base, every weapon, every door, every drone, had been disabled for exactly 7 minutes. Just like before, across the galaxy, fear turned into chaos. Planets near the old Terran border began to evacuate. Civilians fled. Pirates vanished. Mercenary groups refused to fight even for high credits. They said the humans didn't kill unless you resisted. But if you did, no one survived. One by one, the council systems started to fall, not through battle, through silence. Outposts would go dark. Defense grids would stop responding. And then, when others arrived to investigate, the entire colony would be empty. No sign of struggle, no blood. No destruction, just a flag, the old Earth flag. A blue and black symbol of a broken Earth, wrapped in silver vines, changed, evolved, reborn, by. The time the Council realized what was happening, the humans had already taken back 12 systems, but still, they did not speak. They made no demands. They did not call for surrender. It was as if the galaxy didn't even matter to them anymore, like they were following a plan no one else could understand. In secret, some council leaders tried to send messages of peace. They sent probes with ancient human greetings, soft music. Old languages, no answer. Others begged for help from outside powers, even the old enemies of the humans, like the Arcari and the Glathans. But those species had already locked their borders, wanted nothing to do with the war because they knew this was not just revenge. This was evolution. The humans were doing something more. They weren't just taking back space. They were building something. Each reclaimed system now showed signs of strange energy fields. Towers rising from planets, machines that reached deep underground, structures orbiting stars like seeds growing in space. The council scientists tried to study them from afar, but no data made sense. It was like trying to understand the thoughts of a god with a child's mind. Some said the humans had discovered something in the void, a power beyond science. Others believed they had become part machine, part mind, a single species acting as one. But all agreed on one thing. This was not a war the galaxy could win, not by force, not by politics, because the enemy did not fear death. They had already been a race once, and they had returned stronger. Now they were removing everything that had once tried to destroy them quietly. Without hate, it was not about revenge anymore. It was about restoration. And soon, it would be about control. They did not declare war. They did not send diplomats or make threats. The humans simply started taking back what was once theirs without a single word. The first attack happened in the Varney's Belt, at a mining system. Claimed by the Council long ago, 6 automated defense stations protected it. Without warning, all 6 shut down. Not destroyed, just turned off, like someone had pulled the plug. Then, black ships emerged from the darkness, silent, smooth, and fast. They moved like shadows, landed on the largest asteroid, and planted a small silver tower. Minutes later, they vanished. No shots fired, no bodies, no warning, and the system was lost. The Council tried to respond. They sent a fleet to retake the area, but the fleet never made it. Every ship turned back on its own, confused, lost. Their navigation systems had been rewritten mid-flight. They didn't even realize they had been hacked until it was over. The humans were not just strong, they were playing by different rules. Then came the second attack. And the third, and the fourth, each one was fast, clean, and silent. No explosions, no ground wars. Just systems falling one by one. The galaxy had seen many wars. They had faced the swarm invasions, the Carthian plague, and the Black Sun crisis. But this was something else. The enemy never spoke. They never showed emotion. They never answered. Calls. Only action. Only precision. Soon rumors began to spread. People said human soldiers no longer breathed air. They didn't speak. That their skin was metal and light, and their eyes glowed silver. Some said they could walk through walls. Others claimed they were no longer human at all, but machines with human minds, built in exile, raised in darkness. On the planet Tars 3, a council outpost woke to find a message burned into every screen. You took everything. Now we take what is ours. No one had seen who sent it. Security cameras showed only static, but every system on the base, every weapon, every door, every drone, had been disabled for exactly 7 minutes. Just like before, across the galaxy, fear turned into chaos. Planets near the old Terran border began to evacuate. Civilians fled. Pirates vanished. Mercenary groups refused to fight even for high credits. They said the humans didn't kill unless you resisted. But if you did, no one survived. One by one, the council systems started to fall, not through battle, through silence. Outposts would go dark. Defense grids would stop responding. And then, when others arrived to investigate, the entire colony would be empty. No sign of struggle, no blood. No destruction, just a flag, the old Earth flag. A blue and black symbol of a broken Earth, wrapped in silver vines, changed, evolved, reborn, by. The time the Council realized what was happening, the humans had already taken back 12 systems, but still, they did not speak. They made no demands. They did not call for surrender. It was as if the galaxy didn't even matter to them anymore, like they were following a plan no one else could understand. In secret, some council leaders tried to send messages of peace. They sent probes with ancient human greetings, soft music. Old languages, no answer. Others begged for help from outside powers, even the old enemies of the humans, like the Arcari and the Glathans. But those species had already locked their borders, wanted nothing to do with the war because they knew this was not just revenge. This was evolution. The humans were doing something more. They weren't just taking back space. They were building something. Each reclaimed system now showed signs of strange energy fields. Towers rising from planets, machines that reached deep underground, structures orbiting stars like seeds growing in space. The council scientists tried to study them from afar, but no data made sense. It was like trying to understand the thoughts of a god with a child's mind. Some said the humans had discovered something in the void, a power beyond science. Others believed they had become part machine, part mind, a single species acting as one. But all agreed on one thing. This was not a war the galaxy could win, not by force, not by politics, because the enemy did not fear death. They had already been erased once, and they had returned stronger. Now they were removing everything that had once tried to destroy them quietly, without hate. It was not about revenge anymore. It was about restoration. And soon, it would be about control. The galaxy remembered humans as fierce, clever, and dangerous. They had arrived late to the galactic stage, but rose faster than any other species. In less than 200 years, humans had spread across dozens of star systems, built powerful ships, and made their voice heard in the Galactic Council. Many feared them, some admired them, but no one ignored them. Then one day, they were gone. There was no war, no final message, no farewell. Entire human colonies went dark. Their ships stopped responding. Their diplomats disappeared. The great human fleet vanished from known space. It was as if someone had erased them. Rumors spread. Some believed the humans had found a better galaxy and left. Others thought they had been destroyed by an unknown enemy. The council did not search too hard. For many, it was a relief. The threat was gone. Peace returned. 200 years passed. The memory of humans faded. New species joined the council. Old alliances shifted. Children learned of humans as myths or old enemies defeated. By time, their planets were taken, their stations repurposed, their technology copied. It was a quiet erasure. The name human became just a word in history books then. Something happened in the dark sector, where the old human frontier used to be. A mining ship disappeared. No signal, no debris, just gone. A rescue team was sent. They vanished too. The council believed it was pirates or space storms. But then, a trade ship lost contact for 7 full minutes while passing near that region. When it returned, the crew was in shock. They reported seeing something massive in the darkness. A ship, but not like any they had seen. Black metal, smooth and silent, floating like a shadow. One of the crew members whispered a word before falling unconscious. Terran. The council laughed it off. Terran was the ancient name for humans from their homeworld Earth. The word had not been heard in decades, but the report spread fast. Some believed the humans were back. Others said it was just a ghost story. Then came the signal. It was weak, hidden deep in old human code. It pulsed from the dark sector, in a rhythm no machine could copy. The code was old, very old, but unmistakable. A group of independent scientists unlocked part of it. It was not a message, but a warning. We see you. We remember. Fear returned. A small scout fleet was sent. Fast ships, elite crews. They were ordered to investigate and report. Nothing more. They entered the dark sector and sent back images of strange structures floating in deep space. Looked like stations, but alive, growing, made of metal and something else. Then, one by one, the scout ships went dark. The last message from the lead ship chilled the council. They are not what they were. The council tried to control the news, but it spread across the galaxy.
The old veterans who had once fought humans came forward.
They remembered the fire in human eyes, the way they never gave up. How they learned fast and adapted even faster. They said only one thing. If humans are back, the galaxy is not ready. Pirate groups began to vanish. Black markets closed. Small planets near the dark sector emptied overnight as people were afraid. No one wanted to be near the place where humanity might have returned. Then, deep in the archives of a forgotten moon, a machine turned on by itself. It was an old human AI left behind in the early days of the exile. It spoke one sentence in, a deep voice. The children of Earth walk again. Cross the stars. Hidden satellites activated. Silent probes moved. Long-dead systems lit up with strange energy. It was as if a switch had been flipped. Countdown had begun. The council called an emergency session. Some members wanted to send a massive fleet to destroy the dark sector. Others said to wait, to talk. But no one could agree. Because deep down, they all knew one truth. If humans were truly back, they would not return the same. They had been forgotten, betrayed, exiled, and now they were watching, quiet, waiting. Something was coming, something old, something powerful. And the galaxy, once again, would speak the name they tried to erase. Humanity, the Galactic Council, sent one of its best patrol ships, Vernox, into the dark sector. It was fast, strong, and armed with the latest weapons. Its crew of 12 were experienced and confident. They did not believe the stories about humans returning. Most thought it was just a ghost signal or some old machine turning back on. Still, they followed orders. Their mission was simple: fly in, scan for activity, and return. As the Vernox entered the dark sector, the stars behind them seemed to vanish. There was a strange feeling in space, heavy and cold, like something was watching. The ship's scanners picked up strange energy patterns. It didn't match anything in the Council's database. The crew laughed nervously. Space was always full of weird readings, but as they went deeper, the laughter stopped. First, their long-range communication failed. The signal was jammed, but not by natural causes. It was clean, sharp, like someone was blocking them on purpose. Then the lights inside the ship flickered. The pilot, Commander Dresk, ordered a full scan. That's when they saw it. A massive structure floated ahead. Not a ship, not a station, something in between. It was shaped like a giant black spear, silent and still, but alive in some way. Blue lights moved slowly across its surface, like veins. It did not respond to any hails. It just sat there, then it turned. Not physically, the crew just felt it, as if it had noticed them. The ship's temperature dropped fast. A deep hum started inside the walls. Dresk shouted for a full retreat. But before they could turn, every screen on the ship turned black. Then came the voice, cold, calm. "Human, you do not belong here." The crew froze. The voice didn't come through the radio, it came from inside their minds. Everyone heard it the same way. They looked at each other, shocked, afraid. Suddenly, the engines of the Vernox shut down. Weapons failed. Life support dropped to minimum. It was like something had taken control of the ship. No, not just the ship. The systems, the power, even gravity started to shift. And then, just as quickly, it all came back. The lights, the engines. Everything, except one thing. One of the crew, a young officer named Herrick, was missing. He was sitting in his seat just moments ago. Now only his headset remained. Dresk screamed for an emergency jump. The ship jumped out of the dark sector and reappeared near the closest outpost. They had escaped, but they had lost more than just a crew member. When the council questioned them, Dresk could not explain how the ship was taken over. The logs were scrambled, the recordings erased. The only thing left was a single word burned into the backup drive in English, the old human language. Returned, the council dismissed the case. It told the media it was just a system error, an accident. They did not want panic to spread, but the story leaked. Smaller planets began to ask questions. Was humanity really back? Had they been? Hiding all these years, some wanted to send peace messages. Others called for war. The galaxy was splitting again, but the humans didn't answer. Not yet. Instead, strange things kept happening. Old human beacons, long thought dead, started activating across deep space. Hidden relay stations powered on. They sent no message, only signals that spread like waves. Scientists tried to decode them but failed. The patterns were not random. They felt alive. Good life. A smuggler named Krell found a floating drone near a gas giant. It was shaped like a bird, dark and silent. When he touched it, it spoke one word in a soft female voice: observe. Then it exploded into light and vanished. At the same time, 3 pirate fleets that operated near the old human border disappeared. No wreckage, no distress calls, only silence. A week later, a pod floated into council space. It came from nowhere. Inside was a small crystal cube. When connected, it played a simple video, a burning flag of the Old Earth Alliance, with the sound of footsteps marching in the background. No message, no warning. Stunned, just a symbol and a memory. The council began to panic quietly. They could no longer hide it. Something, or someone, was moving in the dark. Something powerful, something patient. But many still did not believe. They thought it was a trick, a forgotten AI. Some rebel group using human tech. They refused to accept the truth. They had ignored the signs. They had ignored the warnings. And now, the ones they exiled were not only back, they were watching, listening, and planning. In the deep shadows of space, far beyond the patrol routes and trade lanes, strange signals whispered across the stars. They were soft and hidden, easy to miss unless you were looking closely. But some people heard them. Quiet traders, data smugglers, and forgotten scientists at the edge of the galaxy began to notice. The patterns were not natural, not like space noise. They were too sharp, too focused. The signals were moving, changing, evolving. One signal passed through a derelict satellite. On the edge of Sector 9, the satellite's memory chip recorded only a few seconds before it burned out. A single sentence was stored in Old Earth language, Phase 1 complete. No one knew what it meant, but a few who understood the language grew cold with fear. The council tried to silence it all. They warned news networks not to report anything. They said it was just old machines breaking down. It's nothing more. But rumors do not die so easily in space. In hidden channels and quiet back rooms, people started to talk. They spoke of colonies deep in the void, the area beyond known space, where no species dared to settle after humans vanished. That space had always been dead. Now it was waking up. A Terran resistance network long believed to be gone was mentioned again. Smugglers whispered that humans had never died out, that they had left on purpose, that the exile was their choice, not a defeat. And now, after 2 centuries in silence, they were no longer hiding. One merchant ship captain, named Solon, claimed he had followed a ghost signal into the dark zone. He said he saw lights moving across a dead moon like machines breathing. He swore he saw a city floating, massive and alive, made of black metal and blue light. When he returned, half his hair had turned white. His voice shook when he said they are building something. No one believed him, but many started to wonder. Spies from the Zeltrax Empire sent small probes into the void. Only one returned. The data inside was corrupted except for one clear image, a human figure, standing inside a glowing room. Its eyes were silver, skin pale, and marked with lines of light. It was not just human. It was something more. The Zeltrax called it the Ascended. The council dismissed the image as fake. But deep inside their war rooms, they began secret meetings. They created a file named Return Protocol, Human Threat Level, Unknown. Some council members wanted to reach out and offer peace. Others said it was too late, that the humans had changed into something alien. One council scientist, Varn, finally spoke out. She had studied old human tech for years. She believed humans had been experimenting with dark energy before their disappearance, an unstable power that no other race had ever mastered. The council had ignored her work, but now she warned them. If humans learn to control dark energy in exile, they have no defense. Still, many refused to believe, till a drone from a deep mining colony arrived at Outpost Ryla 7. It carried no cargo, no code, no signal, but when scanned, it released a wave of sound that caused every machine in the outpost to shut down. For exactly 7 minutes, the base was silent, frozen, like time had stopped. When systems came back online, only one message remained on every screen. We watched, we learned, we adapted. Suddenly, people across the galaxy began to panic. Not because the humans were back, but because they might no longer be human, in the void. Old machines once built by the Earth Alliance were waking up. Orbiting stations began rotating again. Deep vaults opened. Automated defense systems that hadn't moved in 200 years activated with perfect precision. Some even had shields that the council couldn't penetrate. The galaxy started to feel it. The fear. Not loud, not violent, but slow. Steady, rising like a tide. Whispers filled the darkness. That the humans had turned themselves into something else. That they had created new technology the council could not understand. That they were no longer limited by biology. That they had waited for this moment, and now they were beginning to move in secret. In silence, one planet located near the edge of the void recorded a transmission through its deep space telescope. It repeated only once every 60 seconds. 8 words spoken in perfect human English, clear and calm. "We have not returned for peace this time." The voice was not angry. It was not loud, it was disappointed, and that made it worse. Across the galaxy, people stopped laughing at the idea of humanity's return. The fear grew real. The council had no answers. The stars were no longer safe. The humans were speaking again, and the galaxy could no longer pretend not to hear them. The council could no longer ignore the signs. The signals from the void were growing stronger. More ships were vanishing near the old human frontier. Spy satellites picked up strange movements in deep space. Silent ships gliding through darkness, too fast and too large to be anything the galaxy had seen before. The fear that had once been dismissed as rumor now spread like fire. Finally, the council acted. They sent a fleet. It was the strongest force gathered in 50 years, 20 heavy warships, supported by scout vessels, drone carriers, and 3 dreadnoughts. The mission was clear. Enter the dark sector, investigate the threat, and return with proof. Some believed it would be a quick job. Others silently hoped it wouldn't be a mistake. The fleet entered the void under full formation. The stars behind them slowly disappeared, swallowed by a thick darkness that felt unnatural. Their ships moved cautiously, scanning every direction. For hours, nothing happened. Then they saw it. A single ship floated ahead, far larger than any vessel ever built. It looked like a long blade made of black stone and metal, with glowing blue veins running across its surface. It had no engines, no visible weapons, just quiet motion, like it was drifting. But the sensors screamed with warnings. The energy it gave off was massive, impossible. It felt like a living thing. The commander of the fleet, Admiral Sorek, gave the order to open communication. No response. They tried again. Still silence. Then, one of the scouts vanished from the radar. No explosion, no signal. It was simply gone. Seconds later, another disappeared. Panic started to rise. Admiral Sorek ordered the fleet to retreat, but it was already too late. The black ship turned. Without moving, without changing its position, the structure shifted in a way that made no sense. As if space itself bent around it, the warships locked weapons and fired. Bright beams of plasma and missile storms flew through space toward the black ship, but the blasts never touched it. They disappeared mid-dash flight, no shields. No counter-dash fire, just ... gone. Then, the first dreadnought exploded. Not from outside, from inside. Its core melted in an instant, as if it had been touched by something that never entered through the hole. The explosion was silent, but every crew in the fleet felt it, like a part of their minds had been cut away. The second dreadnought started turning on its own, its weapons locked on its own allies. The crew couldn't stop it. Something had taken control. Within minutes, it fired on the nearest warship and tore it in half. Admiral Sorek shouted for emergency jump.
Always.
He didn't care about the mission anymore. He just wanted to save his people. Only one ship managed to escape. The rest were destroyed in silence. The survivor was the Talon's Reach, a small command vessel. Its engines overloaded, and the ship barely jumped back to council space. Half the crew were dead. The others were injured or in shock. The ship's black box recorded one final message for the escape. A voice human, no anger. No fear, just a quiet, deep tone. "You sent fire into the dark," he answered. The recording spread through the council like wildfire. This time, no one could hide it. No one could explain it away. 20 ships had gone in. One came back. Number. Known enemy had that kind of power. No species in the galaxy could do what they saw. Only one possibility. Remained humans, but not the humans of the past. These were different, smarter, stronger. They didn't use brute force. They didn't talk. They didn't ask for peace or war. They simply reacted, like they were testing something. Watching how the galaxy would respond, the Council called another emergency session. Some screamed for war, some begged for surrender, some just sat in silence, unable to speak, because deep down, they understood the truth. This was not a return, it was a warning. The humans had waited in silence for 200 years, and now they had shown the galaxy just one piece of what they had become. A shadow in space. A ship that defied physics. Weapons that didn't exist. Minds that could control machines. The first encounter had happened, but it had not been a battle. It had been a message. One the galaxy would never forget. The galaxy was falling, system by system. The Council had lost 17 territories. Whole planets were gone. It's not destroyed, just taken over, emptied of their leaders, and replaced with silence. Wherever the humans went, they erased the old rule without blood. No one knew how, no one knew when. The moment you noticed them, it was already over. Now, only the inner council worlds remained untouched, and even they were starting to shake. The council met in a hidden chamber deep under the surface of their capital planet. The faces of 12 species looked at each other in fear. Some wanted to surrender, others wanted to run. But most chose war, not out of courage, but because they had nothing else left. They formed a final plan. The idea was simple: bait the humans into attacking a system that looked weak, but was actually prepared. The Council moved all remaining fleets into one place, the Noria system. Over 300 ships, including the last 2 super dreadnoughts, stood ready. Traps were set, mines were planted. Gravity weapons were hidden on nearby moons. Stealth satellites scanned for even the smallest energy changes. The Council believed this would be their moment to stop the humans, to hurt them, maybe even to push them back. They waited. 1 day passed, then 2. On the 3rd day, the sky above Norius 4 turned black. Not because of clouds, but because of shadows. Hundreds of human ships dropped out of dark space at once. Not in attack formation, not like normal fleets. They moved like a wave, smooth and connected, as if every ship was a part of something larger. They did not speak. They did not slow down. The Council fleet opened fire. Every weapon, every missile, every laser beam was fired at once. The space between the 2 fleets lit up like a dying star, but the humans didn't stop. None of the weapons reached them. The first row of black ships absorbed the fire without shields. The attacks simply vanished into their holes, as if space itself bent around them. Then the human ships responded not with fire, but with light. Thin beams of pure energy touched the lead Council ships, and they fell apart silently, cleanly, without explosions. The Council screamed orders. Engage the mines. Trigger the gravity traps. Fire everything. Nothing worked. The mines failed to detonate. The traps did not activate. The satellites went blind. And inside the Council command ship, the lights shut off. A deep hum filled the air. Then a single voice echoed across every ship, not through radios, not through any system, spoke inside their minds. Calm, clear, and human. You chose silence when we begged for truth. Admiral Trescar, the Council. Fleet Commander shouted back, "We are ready to fight. We will not fall." But the voice did not answer. Instead, the sky began to crack. A massive shape moved above the battlefield, larger than any ship, larger than a city. It was not a ship at all. It was something else, something built during the exile, something not made for war, but for judgment. A machine, a mind, a weapon. No one knew its name, but the humans called it Solace. It hovered above the Council fleet. Then from its center a wave of silver light expanded outward. It did not destroy, it did not kill. But every Council ship it touched simply shut down, dead, frozen, powerless. Like a decision had been made, and they were not part of the future. Inside the Council's capital, leaders watched their screens go dark one by one. Communication ended. Command centers lost control. The most powerful government in the galaxy. fell silent. And then, for the first time in over 200 years, Earth spoke. A simple message played on every screen in every language. We remember our exile. We remember your silence. Came not to punish, but to correct. The balance must return. No threats, no demands, only truth. The humans had never planned to destroy the galaxy. They planned to rebuild it without the corruption, without the lies. Their silence had been a test. Their attacks had been lessons. Their return was a decision. And now, that decision had been made. The war was over. But the galaxy would never be the same again. The war ended without a treaty. There was no surrender, no last speech, no peace agreement. It simply stopped. Their governments collapsed, their systems quiet. The galaxy held its breath, waiting for destruction, expecting human revenge. But the humans did not burn planets. They did not take slaves. They did not raise flags on ruined capitals. Instead, they rebuilt. In the first days after the last battle, human ships spread across space like calm waves. Where there was war damage, they repaired it. Where systems had lost power, they restored it. Where people were starving, they dropped supplies even to those who had once voted for their exile. This was not a conquest. It was a message. Across every major planet, the same new structure appeared. Tall silver towers, humming softly, glowing with blue light. No one knew how they were built so fast. Inside, machines worked in silence, linked to each other across light years. These towers did not speak, but they changed everything. Trade routes were reopened, but this time without taxes or corruption. Communication networks were rebuilt, faster and safer. Energy grids were fixed, powered by something new, clean, endless, and unknown. All of it came from humans. But they never asked for anything in return. They just worked and watched. Leaders from surviving species came forward, unsure of what to do. Some tried to resist. They were ignored. Others begged for peace. They received it without condition. Then, one day, a ship arrived above the ruins of the old council headquarters. It was simple, gray, shaped like a broken ring. It landed without escort. When it stepped a single human, tall, calm, dressed in black with silver veins running through his skin. He walked through the silent halls where the galaxy's most powerful voices once ruled, and he sat in the old high chair. No one stopped him, because deep down they all knew the galaxy no longer belonged to the council. It now belonged to the ones who were exiled and forgotten, but had returned, changed. From that day on, the new order began. Not with force, with guidance. The humans created the Assembly of the Free Stars, a council of all species, big and small. Every race was given a voice, including those who were ignored for centuries. Even enemies of humanity were invited. There were no rulers. It's only watchers, only balance, and the humans. They never sat in the center. They watched from the edges. They had seen what power did, and they had learned to control it. People across the stars slowly began to accept the new age. Trade became fair. Travel became safe. Wars stopped before they began. Pirate fleets disappeared. Crime syndicates fell apart. It's not because of fear, but because their tools no longer worked. The galaxy was now filled with systems humans had rewritten, code they alone understood. And then came the most shocking thing of all. Earth was revealed. Hidden behind a barrier of dark energy for 200 years, it now glowed bright across the star maps. It's no longer broken, no longer polluted. It had changed. Reborn. Cities floated above the oceans. Forests stretched across the lands. The sky had rings, artificial, shining, filled with stations. But only one message came from Earth. We came home to build something better. All are welcome if they seek peace. It was not a threat, it was a promise. The humans did not return to take revenge. They returned to lead. But not like before, not with ego, not with pride. They had gone into exile weak and betrayed. They returned as something stronger, something wiser. A species that had become more than flesh, more than fear. They had become the balance the galaxy needed. Now, when children across the stars studied history, they no longer learned about the human threat. They learned about the return. They learned how silence can be powerful, how truth can survive even in the coldest dark, and how those who are forgotten may one day return with power no one can match. The stars were quiet now, not because they were empty, but because peace had finally come. And at the edge of every system, hidden in the dark, a human ship always watched, not as a conqueror, but as a guardian.